The New York Mets have made multiple moves as they have been very active today on the market, and as fans do look for a big move for this team, we continue to see the Mets make some moves that are very important, specifically one of them as he does hold a whole lot of value to the Mets, especially in an area that has been labeled as quite weak for the team going into the 2026 MLB season. Guys, there's a lot to dive into, and we're going to waste no time jumping into it because the Mets right now, they have been active. Look, obviously we're waiting for a big move. We want to see the Mets go out there and bring in Kodai Bellinger, bring in Kyle Tucker, get a big name, and really start to show up and show out for this team. But right now, with everything that we're looking at, we are waiting for those guys and those dominoes to start to fall. And all these top players, all the guys at the top of the market are yet to make a move. It's been a weird free agency thus far, and one team has to set it off by getting a signing done. And many are looking to see who that first deal is ultimately going to be. Nobody's going to beat Kyle Tucker's contract value, so ultimately, it's not going to be one of those situations with Bryce Harper and Manny Machado playing that back and forth game. We're going to see some sort of major move happen quite soon, and right now the Mets have been making a few different ones, and one of these is going to be super helpful when regarding the team, specifically because of his importance to the roster spot. So looking at that right now, we have seen the Mets do a few different things right here, as we did see Mike Mayer mention that the Mets have signed right-hand pitcher Young-Sok Shim to a minor league deal. The 21-year-old was given a $750,000 bonus by the Pirates as one of the better pitchers in the 2023 IFA class, and he was traded to the Marlins in 2024 and released in 2025. He's battled a ton of injuries since signing. Now, obviously, this is an interesting deal because it does bring a nice player in who has shown some potential, but recently hasn't really gotten it going at the MLB level or the minor league level, as he actually had a 10.80 ERA in 13.1 innings pitched last season, but he did have 16 strikeouts, interestingly enough. Obviously, if the whip is above 1.5, you're concerned. He had a 2.40, so obviously not what you want to see right now. However, there is a lot to think about with Shim, and the Mets do see something here that we have to take a look at. Now, before we jump into all the news today, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States, and on their platform, you can trade yes, no on real-life events, sports, elections, and really anything. If you're in California, Texas, or anywhere across the United States, Kalshi is live in all 50 states. Now, for sports fans, you can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. Now, guys, right now in the thick of MLB free agency, there's been a lot of talk about Kodai Bellinger, and there is a 53% chance, according to Kalshi, that he does sign with the New York Mets, with there being a 36% chance that he goes back to the New York Yankees. Obviously, there's been a ton of talk about this, and I use these chances regularly to see what Bellinger's free agency looks like. Now, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I believe Bellinger will be with the New York Mets next season, once again having the Mets steal away a Yankee outfielder. Now, this is a smarter way to use your sports or news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. Guys, download Kalshi using our link in the description down below and use code DIGESTMLB, that is DIGESTMLB, to get $20 off when you trade $100. But now let's jump into the news. Now, looking at all the moves the Mets have made recently, there is not a lot of big ones. The biggest one being Jorge Polanco right now, and Polanco was a good signing that I don't mind. I do imagine he'll figure out how to grade out as a plus defender at the first base position, and ultimately did have an 8+ OPS last year. So there is things to like about Polanco, but the Mets, they have not been able to make any big moves, given I was about to say the Yankees, who haven't either. They've made even less than the Mets. But look, when you look at the Mets right now, the team has set themselves up quite well for a few more moves. And look, Shim is interesting because when we look at his game, there is more potential there than meets the eye. I mean, as Andres Chavez of Empire Sports Media mentioned, Shim worked with a fastball in the mid-90s that could touch triple digits, featuring strong spin and riding life. That alone would have put him on plenty of radars. The secondaries were just as intriguing. His curveball showed the true 12-6 action, not the loopy kind, but a pitch with real shape and intent. He was also developing a harder slider, giving him a second breaking option, and the changeup was emerging as potential fourth pitch. That is a starter's mix, at least on paper, and when healthy, Shim did not not look like a thrower searching for an identity. He looked like a pitcher who already had one forming. The issue is he's dealt with injuries, and that's one of the reasons why he's had struggles to really get things going on the field, is the lack of being able to play. He's dealt with he's been hurt a lot. A whole lot of his body has gotten broken down already, but he is young, and he can easily bounce back from that. Young players do bounce back from that. Now, as mentioned from Fish on First a while back when the Marlins did acquire him, they did say that Young-Sok Shim looks like he's actually, a solid player, and that he actually does exist. In his first official game since he had gotten there, since August of 2023, when he got traded to the Miami Marlins, he had 1 earned run in an inning and also 2 hits for 15 pitches, and 9 of them were strikes. So he did appear. It wasn't a great outing for sure. He did allow a run and 2 hits, but at the same time, he's young. He's going to have to get it together, and he's an interesting piece for the Mets. Now, obviously, I know a lot of you guys are thinking the same thing. It's dumpster diving David Stearns. Why are we doing this? And when we look just at the Mets in general, they need more pitching, not only in the bullpen, but also in the starting rotation, and that's the second part of things that we have to talk about here. Because right now, we're looking at a rotation that looks like it'll be led by Nolan McLean, David Peterson, Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, and Kodai Senga. So, obviously, trades can happen. We know the Mets are interested in a few different trades, including Tarek Skubal and Freddie Peralta. But right now, when we look at everything, McLean is going to be the ace going into this year. Now, David Peterson was the most interesting one on this list of anyone else, outside of maybe Senga, who has a similar thing where it's like, if he can get consistency, and Senga's is more health-wise. Peterson, though, he's interesting. He just came off an all-star season, and then ultimately fell apart later on in the year. However, we do know this now, as David Peterson and the Mets have agreed at $8.1 million to avoid arbitration. So, right now, where things stand for David Peterson, he will be an important part of that Mets rotation that we were just looking at right there. So that's something to be well aware of. And Peterson was good in the first half of the season. Up until halfway through June, these are his stats up until June 15th. He had a record of 5-2. He had an ERA of 2.49 and 71 strikeouts in his 13 appearances. He ended up making the All-Star game. He looked good, really good, up until the point where he just, whether he ran out of gas or was just dealing with nagging injuries. It's a laundry list of what could have happened, but whatever did happen, it happened, and there's nothing we could do to stop that. However, Peterson, the Mets do want to see him be this guy, and they totally believe that he can be. Now, he's actually getting $100K more than Freddie Peralta, someone who the Mets have held long interest in, and obviously Peralta's the better pitcher. Last year looked like an absolute star. 5.5 WAR, 17 wins, 2.70 ERA, 204 strikeouts, and 176.2 innings pitched at a whip of 1.075. Peralta's excellent and someone who will be on the trade market, and the Mets ultimately should take another look at Peralta. They aren't really spending a ton of money in free agency right now, so they could set themselves up to easily re-sign Peralta, whether it's over the season or once he hits free agency. The Mets could give him a whole lot of money for a whole long time and lock him up for the foreseeable future. It's an interesting move that I would love to see the Mets make because it does make a ton of sense for this team. Peralta's going to leave the Brewers, and we know that. So if the Brewers do want to sell while they have time, they could trade him to the Mets, where ultimately the Mets would still give some value back for Peralta, which is really what they want to see happen. And also, it does bolster a pitching rotation that definitely adds a lot of questions. I mean, again, when we look at the rotation, yeah, Peterson was an all-star at the end of the year. He had a 4.22 ERA. He lost his steam pretty quickly, and he's going to have to find his way back, or the Mets pitching is going to struggle. But guys, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. I'll catch you all later.